Welcome to our channel. I'm really glad you're here. I'm Mike with Zippy Snap, and I hope we can craft a kinder, more creative world together. Today we're going to make this envelope and card that says, what do you call a pig with no legs? Do you know? A groundhog. And then this one has a groundhog with a words that says shadow pull, question mark. And when you pull, oh, there's the groundhog shadow. This is a fun card for Groundhog Day, which is February 2nd, so part of our joke series. On the difficulty meter, I'd give this a 2 out of 5. That means that this is an easy craft. You can download this craft template from zippysnap.com. The tools we're going to be using today are scissors and tape. So with these tools nearby, let's get to crafting. So this is a fun one. Groundhog Day is always a fun day to start. We are 3 pages on this one. You have your optional completion badge on the second page. If you mail this off, someone's going to really love to get this card from you. But you can always have remembrance that you made this card by keeping this completion badge right there. So we'll set the 2 sides here. Or actually, let's start with the envelope. The envelope's going to be the side we'll start with, which is the 3rd page. It's right here. And this has a really cute pig that says, what do you call a pig with no legs? And we're just going to cut along the edges here, but we'll keep these lines right here, 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 and here. This inside, we're just going to cut on the outside is how we're going to work that. So Groundhog Day is a fun time when the groundhog says if it's going to change seasons or if we're going to stay in the same season. It's always February 2nd, so I know this is a good time of year to send this card out to somebody. Just to remind them, hey, it's Groundhog Day and a fun craft you can do for yourself to have a part of Groundhog Day. And they won't see it coming because it's about a pig. So they're like, why are you sending me a card about a pig? What do you call a pig with no legs? But then once they says, oh, it's a groundhog, because it's a ground hog. A hog is another word for a pig. And the ground is where you would be if you didn't have legs. You'd be just on the ground. Probably spoiling the joke. I can over-explain sometimes. And then we'll just cut right down this little edge of this envelope. And cut right back up. Now this is on the harder side of the easy, just because there's a lot of different things we're doing in this one. So we'll go ahead and fold this envelope together. So we're just going to fold on all of these solid lines here that are left. So we'll start. I like to let's fold the big side in first, and just try to line it up best you can, left to right, and then just try and get onto that the black line fold. And then right here, we'll go ahead and fold that line and this line. Because of how this card is laid out on some of our other envelopes, we have other options on how we can fold and tape the card. But this one, there's only really one option on how you're going to fold it. So you're going to have to put these 2 edges here on top of this card because you won't be able to get the tape otherwise. So we're going to just put some tape on the edge here and try to make sure that you don't have any open spaces there, because if you do have open spaces, it might accidentally get caught in the USPS's sorting machine. And it's also a good practice, I don't know if you noticed on that edge, on this edge, just put a piece of tape and then fold it around so that way you have those fold edges covered. So now you have the envelope, and when you're ready to mail it, just tape right here. And someone will get it and say, why are you sending me a card that says, what do you call a pig with no legs? So that's that. So now let's set that aside, and we're going to go ahead and cut the groundhog out and the brown tab. So this is a pop-up card. So that's what this brown tab here is for. The groundhog's going to pop off the page. So that's kind of one of the other fun parts. This is why I said it's easy. It's multiple easy tasks all in one project. So there's a few things going on. So we have the brown tab, and then on the groundhog, I like to, because there's so much on this page, I'm just going to cut the bottom line here, and then I'm going to just kind of cut around the groundhog. We'll come back and do a fine cut but there's too much paper, it's a little hard to do. So on this groundhog, once you get off to the image, you can just kind of cut that groundhog just however you see fit. Just kind of keeping the general shape of the groundhog, just because it's a little hard sometimes to keep that groundhog 100% in there. I like to not have white space at this stage. That's why I'd rather cut a little bit into the image. Groundhog has it's a pretty big groundhog, so it's okay to have that, to cut into him a little bit. So there's how he looks. I'm going to go ahead and fold. There's a little white line here. I'm going to fold that back. Actually, yeah, we'll fold that back. There we go. So now that's going to be the bottom of our pop-up. And then for this, we're going to fold both of these sides upwards. Or maybe we'll fold that backwards. I'm going to fold this side backwards. Fold that side backwards. Yeah, so they'll both go backwards. The color sides will go backwards. All right, we're going to set those aside. And then I'm going to set aside this. This is the outside of the card. This is going to be the inside. We're going to go ahead and do the inside of the card. So I'm jumping around, but you see it doesn't take too long to do this part. This is the actual inside of the card here. So you don't really want to have white space on this part. So it's okay to cut a little bit inside if you need to. This is the card side to do it, the groundhog. So, and it's perfectly okay to make the craft your own. And if you make a mistake, that's not a problem. It's just that it adds a little character to your craft. All right, and then if you look right here, there's a thin black line right there, and that is where our groundhog is going to sit, and it's also where we're going to have this little shadow pool come through right here. So before we get into that, we'll set that aside, and I'm going to cut the shadow pool out. And this is our last piece that we need to cut out before the outside of the card. And that shadow pool, it's okay to leave the dashed lines there. But I do like, once you get to this part, the image part, and the shadow pool, cut a little bit more than, don't cut too little. Because you don't want to have any white there, because otherwise it won't blend in to the card as it's supposed to. Unless you're making that artistic choice not to have a blend in, which that's okay. And I'm not even going to cut the other edge, because everything behind here, this is our T, you won't see. So we now need to cut this black line. We have a lot going on in this card. So I'm going to just do a fold, and I like to do what I call a one finger fold. So I'm just going to put this one finger here, press it there, hold the card, and then don't overcut on this step. Just do a little bit of a cut, just enough so that when you open it back up, you can fit your scissors in there. And then finish that cut out. And again, on this part, it's very important not to overcut. So just cut literally just to the end of the black line, then turn it around and we'll get the other side. You don't want to overcut on this step. Everything's important. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and fold it on the inside, but we're almost ready to do our pool. And then we'll put the groundhog in there. And just line those front sides up. And there we go. That's pretty close. There we go. All right, so now when the card opens up, this is how it'll look, a groundhog. We want to take the pool and we're going to put that through this line here. So we're going to just put that right back through the back, just like that. There we go. And now you can see that shadow pool. If you line it up right about here, it looks like it's part of the card. And then when you pull it down, there's the groundhog shadow. So that's working out great. Now just leave that pulled down. It's easier to work with at this stage. And I'm going to turn the card upside down, and I'm going to put the groundhog. This brown piece is exactly the width of that line. So you kind of want to line up that brown piece in the line. So I find it easy to lay it down like this, put the brown piece about right there on that line. And it's okay to be a little bit over too, because we're just going to tape the back of this line a little bit. So fold this back down and then tape that. And now we have that groundhog. right there. But you see he's coming off the page a little bit. So this is a little bit of a trickier part. I'm going to take a piece of tape, the sticky side's up here, and I'm going to lift up this shadow pool, and I'm going to put it right there. So now it's on the underside there, that pool, and I'm going to fold that piece up like that. So now he won't lift off that page. And if you have a couple other areas, like you'll see it's kind of now lifting up over here, I'm going to go ahead and do that again. And if you push that piece of tape down, it won't look as much like the shadow. And then one last time right there. So now he won't come up, and that shadow pool is still pulling. So this, since this groundhog is a pop-up, he's meant to pop up with the card when the card comes up. So we're going to take our bridge, and we're going to put a piece of tape. I've already folded it this way with both sides folded down, and you get to choose where you want it on the groundhog. I'm going to choose somewhere in the middle here. And then I'm going to go ahead and hold the piece of tape. Don't put it on yet. You want to make sure that when this card's at a 90-degree angle or about like that, it stays there. So it's important to get it at just the right spot. So for me, I'm going to turn the card back around. I'm going to hold this piece in. So I'm pinching this so then I can see right about where I want it. And I'm going to put maybe right about here. Takes a little bit of experience to get that. And you'll see now we'll do a fold down. That groundhog is starting to fold up. So that's pretty cool. Now my slide pull did pop out. That's not uncommon. There's nothing holding him in. What's going to hold him in is the outside of the card. So I'm just going to pull him back in, pull him all the way back down, set him aside. So this is our final cutout. This is the outside of the card. This is the funny side, to my opinion, because no one ever thinks it's a groundhog that has no legs, because groundhogs do have legs. They're just hogs. It's just a play on words. So we'll just cut this out. And then once we cut it out here, all we're going to do is fold this in half. So, and think about who you're going to give this card to. This is always a funny card. People don't expect these cards, and they don't get a lot of cards with email. So this is always a fun craft people really enjoy to get mail, especially if they're someone you know, and even if they don't know you. I know a lot of older people like to get mail. It's always fun. So we fold that in half, and again, leaving the shadow pool pulled down, we're going to go ahead and place this inside the outside of the card. So now you have, what do you call a pig with no legs? And then it opens up to a groundhog. So line up your edges, and I'm going to put a piece of tape here and a piece of tape there. So I put 2 at each corner. This is one of our smaller cards. I normally make the bigger cards, but I like the smaller card because it's just a little bit funner, and it has a lot of elements going on with the pop-up and the shadow pull. So it may take you a little bit of time to put together, but it's well worth it. And this is my last corner. And then once I get the corners like that, I also like to get a piece right in here. So I'll put a piece right there. And maybe you see if it's starting to separate in the center up there, put one there. Put a piece right here. So now your card is complete. We have our envelope that says, what do you call a pig with no legs? A groundhog. The groundhog pops up, and you can pull his shadow and see his shadow. And so all you gotta do is put that right into your envelope like this, and mail that away. So someone's really gonna love getting this card, pulling it out, and saying, what's a pig with no legs? A groundhog. And there's the groundhog shadow. So thank you so much for crafting with me today. I hope it brought you joy and helped your creativity grow. Always remember that you matter and you are valued. I look forward to creating our next craft together very soon. Goodbye.